Can you hear me now? Hello. Can you hear? Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then let them join. How many of you are there?
Only I'm there.
Okay. Let them join.
Okay, ma'am. Till that time I leave.
Okay. Okay. Go on.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Bye.
Why are you laughing, ma'am?
అప్పటిదే అదే ఆనేది
రమ్మంటే రాడు మళ్ళీ అది యూట్యూబ్ లో కూడా వస్తుందని చెప్పింది.
సౌండ్ రాదు.
సౌండ్
Hello. 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 Can you hear me? Is it, am I audible to you all?
Yes, yes, madam.
Okay. Okay. Shall we start, sir? Let us wait for some more time. Asha ma'am. Asha ma'am. Good
Yes,
evening to
ma'am.
everyone.
Yes, ma'am. Tell me, ma'am.
Ma'am, actually Harshita, whatever Harshita and Bhargavi.
Bhargavi, I don't think so, ma'am. She can join today.
Okay.
Harshita, I will try her call, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Then Durgesh will come. Then whoever all there. That's all regular students are that much only, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Whether they are joined or not, let us see within exactly by 6:50 or 55 we'll start up the class.
Okay, ma'am. 6:50 we can start, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Hello. Shall we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, no one is joining extra, I think so. Okay, last class where we have stopped. Good evening to every one of you. And some newcomers have joined. I know that they have known to me or not. But anyhow, good evening to every one of you. Last class where we have stopped. Could you recollect? Any one of you, please? What we have discussed? We were discussed about the disinfection process, isn't it? Huh?
Types of disinfection and chemical disinfection.
Yeah, disinfection process. There were different types of physical and chemical.
Then
All physical.
started, ma'am.
Yeah, all physical methods are effective process, but that some of the processes are not technically feasible, and some of the processes are very good technically. They are economically not feasible for the developing countries. But for the developed countries, still people are practicing those methods. So we have jumped into chemical disinfection. In chemical disinfection, many methods are there. Among the chemical disinfection method, chlorination is the best method we have chosen. In that, compound is directly added into the water. Because about the chlorination, who has done first? Anyone can tell me? Who has started this chlorination practice first? In which year, where?
USA, ma'am.
USA, where, in which year? In 19th century.
1908, ma'am.
Yes. And for the place Jersey City, they have first developed. So what are the properties of chlorine we have discussed? That is very important to know for general knowledge. People have chosen chlorine, and chlorination is the best process for disinfection. People are using chlorine gas directly for the disinfection process, and there must be a reason why they have chosen that chlorine gas. So what are the properties of chlorine gases? Because it has some specific property. Those properties are giving favorable effect to do this disinfection process, especially in water treatment technology. So what are they? Actually, this gas is highly toxic gas that everyone knows. And it is, and another important thing is it is heavier than air. So it can be easily compressed. And to form a clear amber colored liquid. And also everyone knows that dry gas is non-carcinogenic. Even if a little moisture is there also, it is highly corrosive and it is lightly soluble in water. Because of all these properties, it has been selected for disinfection process. Understand? If it is not soluble, which makes highly corrosive effect, this effect, that effect, if many disadvantages over there, means it could not be served as a disinfectant. And then next we are going to see when we are adding this chlorine into the water. Okay, how this disinfectant property is being established in water, or how it behaves like a disinfectant, or what are the chemical reaction exactly takes place in water, and what are the parameters which influences on effectiveness of this chlorine on disinfection process. All those things we are going to discuss. Did you get my point? You people can open your PPT slides and you can have a look at the equation, whatever I have written. For each and every equation, I will explain what exactly happens when we are doing this chlorination process. You just open it. You may have the PPT that is on the name of disinfection. That has been circulated a day before yesterday. Some background noise is coming. People, please mute. Have you opened? We'll start?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Again, I will give a little brief. We are using this chlorine as a disinfectant. I told you that already we can use this chlorine directly added into the water. So what are the reaction exactly happens? At what condition this chlorine is behave like a good disinfectant? What are the factors are favorable for using this chlorine or chlorine compound as a disinfectant? We'll see. For example, there are two important reaction is taking place between chlorine and water when we are doing this process. One is pre-residual chlorine reaction. Another one is combined residual chlorine reaction. Okay. In pre-residual chlorine, what is happening? When we are adding this chlorine into the water, chlorine gas only we can add. Chlorine gas into the water. Immediately what will happen? This chlorine react with the water, which makes hydrochloric acid and hypochloric acid. Otherwise, we can say which makes a hypochlorous acid ions and hydrochloric acid ions. That equation, first equation, which is represent Cl2 plus H2O, that is chlorine plus water reacts. This is the reversible reaction, which gives HOCl, hypochlorous acid, and hydrochloric acid, HCl. This is a reversible reaction from the product to raw material will come from reactant to product to reactant, it will be reversed. From that, the HCl is immediately dissociated when it forms in water. HCl also, from HCl to H plus Cl minus ions is dissociated. This is also reversible reaction. This H plus Cl minus ion, again it reforms the HCl. So anyhow, in this particular reaction, when we are adding chlorine into the water, the hypochlorous acid, that means HOCl, which formed from the first reaction, which dissociate into hydrogen ions and hypochlorite ion, that is OCl minus. That is HOCl, which gives H plus OCl minus. This is the reaction or important reaction which takes place when we are doing this chlorine water reaction. So what will happen? Actually, when we are adding chlorine into the water, immediately it forms into HOCl plus HCl. HCl is again dissociated into H plus Cl minus ion. This HOCl is retained sometime in the freshwater as it is. After some time, it is dissociated into H plus OCl minus ion. That OCl minus ion, it is called hypochlorite ions. Among all these ions, how it is reacted in the water as a disinfectant, we'll see. Actually, when we have added this Cl2, that undissociated HOCl is about 100 to 10 times effective as a disinfectant than it is a dissociated form, that is OCl minus and H plus ions. Anyhow, H plus ions will not be taken place in any disinfectant action. Only OCl minus ion, Cl minus ion and HOCl minus ion. These three forms of chlorine only will react with that unwanted things which are present in the, or pathogens are presented in the water. So at 80 to 100 times, this HOCl undissociated form only gives or serves better effective on the aspect of disinfectant than the other two compounds, that is OCl minus and Cl minus ions. And also at the pH level of 5.5, when we are adding in the chlorine into the water, the pH will increase or decrease according to these reactions. Anyone can answer to me?
Ma'am, can you ask again?
When we are adding chlorine into the water, I told you that which immediately dissociate into HOCl minus and HCl ions. This HCl again dissociated into H plus Cl minus ion. The remaining what is there? HOCl is there. HOCl again it break down into OCl minus ion and H plus ion. According to all this reaction, when it happened after I am adding chlorine into the water only, it happened.
Yes, ma'am.
So when all this reaction happen, where the pH of water will be increased or decreased?
Increased, ma'am.
Increased towards which direction? Acidic direction or alkaline direction?
Decrease, ma'am, because it's acid na HCl, that's why.
So acidic pH will be increased.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Anybody else? Hello. No one is there. These two people only are there in the class. Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
No one is there. You two are only there in the class.
No,
Yes,
no.
ma'am.
Okay, very good. Okay. As of me, when we are adding the chloride, we are adding only chlorine gases, isn't it? So whatever the water is there in water, it is existed. After we are adding that Cl2, it is being dissociated into some form, which again dissociated, which gives both alkali ions and the acidic ions. H plus ions also is there, and OCl minus ions are also there. But all this effect, when it happens, when we are adding or after adding Cl2 only, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So this concentration of ion, how much it is imparted into the water, based on that only the disinfection activity will be taken place in water, I said. So the concentration of negative ions or Cl minus ion will be more than the H plus ion, whatever it may be. If it is less than that, means water will be neutralized. If it is less than that, the acidic pH will be increasing, means the disinfection will not be taken place by the disinfectant. So disinfection property is taken place, means the disinfectant is supposed to be dominated. What is the property of disinfectant? It is Cl minus ion. When it is in molecular form Cl2, it is neutral. When it become ion, Cl minus ions only, not Cl plus ion. So which will increase the
Ma'am, your voice is getting stuck. We can't hear you, ma'am.
Now can you, whenever you are feeling like this, please inform me, because it's raining here, the voice may go up and down only.
Okay, ma'am. We can hear, but still between 1-2 seconds it's going on now.
Yeah. Again, the signal has gone and going and coming like that only. I have to keep in one particular position, then only I will get it. Okay. Now is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I said, let me explain again where I have stopped. Okay. Again, I'll start from the starting. Where I have stopped, otherwise you remind me, I will start from there.
OCl, ma'am.
Okay, OCl. When we are actually the water is water. Nothing is happening. It is remaining in a container or tank. Now I am adding Cl2 or chlorine gas into the water. What
Yes,
will happen after I add? This chlorine also imparted, and which makes some acidic ion and basic ions. Acidic ion in the form of H plus or HCl acid, and HOCl is also acid. What will happen? Both are dissociated, both are unstable compound. Within a minute, the HCl is dissociated into H plus and Cl minus ion. And HOCl, that is hypochlorous acid, again dissociated into H plus and OCl minus ion. OCl minus ion, which is nothing but hypochlorite ion. The concentration of this chloride ion supposed to be dominated than the H plus ion. Then
Hello,
yes.
ma'am. Ma'am, is it? I just wanted to know. I'm getting a lot of interruption. Is it my internet problem? I don't know. It's like completely stopping in between.
Oh,
I'm not able to hear.
Everyone feels like that. You ask the others also.
I can.
Okay. I think it actually, ma'am, it has started raining here in my area.
Everywhere, ma'am. Throughout Hyderabad today is raining.
I think it's because of that. Okay, ma'am.
Find out the place where you can get good signal. Where you sit.
Okay, ma'am. Please continue, ma'am. Please continue. Actually, sometimes the voice is coming, sometimes not coming. I thought, I don't know what is it.
Okay. So that always the OCl minus ion or Cl minus ion supposed to be dominated. Then only the disinfection action will be taking place in the water. If it is equal to H plus ions means the neutralization will be taken place. There will not be any reaction. Understand? So after adding this Cl2, after forming this acid, after dissociation of those acids, the pH started increasing towards alkaline pH. Understood? I said the clear information for why the pH is increased towards alkaline pH. Did everyone got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now we will see and what are the pH ranges rising and at what pH what is happening we'll see now. Actually, whenever or how long this undissociated HOCl is presented in the water, that is 80 to 100% more effective than the other form of Cl ions, that is Cl minus and OCl ions. Okay. At pH value of 5.5 and below this pH, this is HOCl ion is 100% practically, it is unionized HOCl will give the better results. While above the pH 9.5, it is completely dissociated into OCl minus ions. This changes of HOCl to OCl minus ion, which is taking place between the pH of 6 to 8.5, where there is a sharp changes occurs. There is a disinfectant property, but it is not 100% typically like HOCl. So when we are telling that HOCl is a hypochlorous acid, but which provides the disinfection property more than the other form of chlorine ions which presented in the water after adding Cl2 gases. Understand? Even if we want to increase this effectiveness in water, so we feel to add some more chlorine gas into the water also, nothing will happen. That is the critical point of this disinfection process. Why it is happening? Actually, this the pH of the neutral water, because of this buffering capacity, if you add extra chlorine into the content or water also, nothing will happen. So whenever we people are assessing or quantifying or analyzing the available chlorine in the water, which is being estimated as in the form of hypochlorous acid and hypochloric as a chloride ions only. So we are not calculating as in the form of Cl2 or Cl minus ions. We are always estimating in the form of HOCl and OCl minus ions only. Understood? This is very, very important question in IAS and in many entrance examinations. When the people are calculating residual chlorine in water as in the form of Cl2 or OCl minus, HOCl, HCl, Cl minus, many options they will give. For us, everything will look correct only. But the exact answer is hypochlorous acid and hypochlorite ions. That is HCOL and OCl minus. These two form only we are quantifying existing residual chlorine in the water. Understood?
Yes.
It is very, very important part. Each and every point, whatever I said is very important. At what pH the chlorination will be taken place at the peak level. Which chemical which interfere or confine the reaction of infection in water. And in what pH that shift changing, sharp changes is taken place in the disinfection process. Many ways the people will ask the question in this. And also HCl, H plus Cl minus is forming whether it is reversible or irreversible. And Cl2 plus H2O, which gives HOCl plus HCl, whether that is reversible or reversible. All the reaction, all the three reaction are reversible reaction only. That compound, whatever it forms, it will be retained for some time. The retaining of particular compound depends upon the pH of the water, because after adding chlorine into the water, the pH is first decreased, then it is increased to alkaline towards alkaline pH. So you people have to be very careful when you are studying and writing this thing. It is highly, highly important things in many exam point of view. Okay, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you want me to explain more, Nona?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then. The next one is combined residual chlorine. What is meant by combined residual? You people will be shocked now. Combined residual chlorine means we know that even we know that is water is H2O only, but in that water, whatever it may be the source, if it is from underground or it from the surface like a river, a dam, reservoir, whatever, a pond, lake, whatever it may be, there is a little or more interference or mixing of organic matter is taking place, either by the growth of a plant and algae, which gives the which supplements the organic content into the water, or by adding of any unwanted things or movement of some unwanted things which gives or supplement the organic matter into the water. So because of that organic matter, those organic matters are available in water as in the form of protein, amino acid, phenol, and ammonia. If the free chlorine, whatever the chlorine we are adding into the water, that chlorine is reacted with those organic matter that is in the form of ammonia is not organic matter. Ammonia, a protein, amino acid, and phenol are organic substances. This chlorine react with ammonia, protein, amino acid, and phenol, whatever present in the water, which form some of the chloramine and chloro derivatives, which provide the combined available chlorine in the water. The persistent equation with ammonia and chlorine, I will explain. From that, people can understand how it is forming. Again, I will tell, when you are adding this free chlorine into the water, whatever the organic substances along with ammonia presented in the water is reacts with the chlorine, which makes or form chloramine and chloro derivatives. This chloramine and chloro derivative which makes the residual chlorine in the water. That residual chlorine only which gives an impact of chlorination in water, as well as, and which only decide the chlorine demand for the water. Could you remember what is meant by chlorine demand? It would have been written in your notebook. The difference between the amount of chlorine added to the water and the amount of residual chlorine after a specified contact time that gives the chlorine demand. For a specified contact time only, I have explained 5 times, 5 minutes. When we are adding chlorine into the water, we can't expect that immediately the reaction, disinfection reaction happened. So all the disinfectant has destroyed. So the process, we can't. Each and everything, even if you are adding salt into the water or sugar into the water, it is not dissolving immediately. And it's completely dissolved after some contact time only. The time taken to dissolve completely, the time is called the retention time or time in contact time. We are allowing the water to contact with the salt or sugar to complete dissolve. Like that, after adding this chlorine, we have to mix that chlorine gases with the water and we have to provide sufficient time to react whatever the things are presented in water in the form of pathogens or microbes or organic substances. That time is called contact time. In that contact time, whatever the chlorine we are adding into the water, that is being converted into some residual form of chlorine, and there are 2 combined residual form and free residual form of chlorine it is formed. After it formed only, that means it does not mean that all the organism, whatever is there, it is killed. After killing, the remaining chlorine will be existed. That remaining chlorine will only be estimated in the range of 0.0 to 0.03 milligram per liter as the residual chlorine. It's supposed to be retained in the drinking water to prevent the water from further contamination. So from that concept only, we have to decide how much chlorine is supposed to be added into the water. You understood? In other process we are doing, so for example, you take whatever the process well known, you tell me, from that I will explain. Otherwise, I will take coagulation. If you take a coagulation process, we have studied that based on the turbidity, you have to add from 0.5 to 1 something 0.8 milligram per liter of the coagulant in the form of alum you have to add, and parasulfate you have to add in particular limit per liter. They have given that decide or the range of adding of coagulant, which again depends upon the pH of the water. If it is alkaline, what we have to do? If it is acidic, what we have to do? So that is, we are adding for the complete elimination of or complete removal of colloidal particle by flagellation. Then we have to remove that residual things by filtration process or by clarification process followed by filtration. So here we no need to maintain some of the alum or ferrous sulfate in the water. No need. We have to get rid of all the chemicals. We wanted to get only free or clean water for the usage. But when we are coming into this chlorination process, we have to use the chlorination in such a way that it's supposed to kill all the microorganisms and also which supposed to retain some level of chlorine in the water. So the chlorine maintenance is very, very important in the chlorination process. How much you have to retain in the water, based on that only you have to recalculate the quantity and you have to do this particular process. If it is more than that quantity is retained water is also problematic. If it is less than that chlorine content is retained in the water is also problematic. So you have to be maintained a specific level. With that, you have to do the process. Understood? Is it clear? This concept only last class I have explained more than 5-10 minutes. For example, this is the condition. You wanted to buy idli and dosa. Okay. In this particular condition, you have only 10 rupees. With that 10 rupees, you have to buy both. But how many you are going to buy? That depends upon you. Which depends upon the rate and how many you wanted to buy. But you have to buy it for 10 rupees. You have to buy both. Clear? Yes, so here the same condition, you have to maintain 0.0 to 0.03 milligram per liter in water. And also you have to kill all the microorganisms. How you have to play with these two, now you tell me. I have given the answer already. Again, I will tell you. If the pathogens are more or less, it doesn't matter. But all the pathogens are supposed to be killed. And also you have to maintain the chlorine level in the water. In case, if the water contains lot of microorganisms, but you wanted to make 0.2 to 0.02 to 0.03 milligram per liter in water, what concept you follow to maintain that? Already I have answered. You think and tell me. Okay? Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Thinking.
Hello?
Hello.
Chalda. Oh, I'm in class. After class, can I call you? Okay. Hello? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
I told you this concept in the class. In case the water is contaminated more, but you have to do these two processes simultaneously. What do you do?
Auxiliary methods, ma'am.
No. When you are doing the process, what you have to do? Durgesh is not in the class. If he is there, he would have answered because he is doing like that work on me.
No, he's not there, ma'am.
Okay.
What will be done, ma'am?
Huh?
What will be done?
Very good. Very good. Only two of our only in the class. Rest of them are not joining or what?
They are there.
Asha, could you hear my voice? Asha ma'am? Dahlia madam left.
Yes, Dahlia is not there.
Harshita?
It's there. She's there.
Okay. Okay, tell me what we should do. No one is there. Okay, then I myself will answer. I told you in the last class and many times, if the concentration of microorganisms or population is more, but you wanted to maintain that 0.0 to 0.03 level of chlorine in water means You have, when we want to do this chlorination, you have to dilute the water. Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I told you or not?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Then you people will hear and forget.
Ma'am, this is a very difficult subject chapter, ma'am.
But I am teaching really to the school students like only, you know that. Actually, in the
Ma'am.
first two set people, within 5 minutes, I have finished this lesson. 10-15 minutes, I have finished the entire lesson, you know. Each and every step I am going very slow, and each and every step I am telling 2-3 times. People keep on telling that it is difficult for us, so I am spending time like anything for you people.
Yes, ma'am.
And no one can teach like this for PhD students, really. Even in our university, no one do like this.
Ma'am, this is PG, but for us, it's like new thing, no, ma'am. We have directly come to PG.
And it is correct only. That is correct only. That's what I am spending time. But in general, please try to understand.
Yes,
In
ma'am.
our university, no one do like that.
I know, ma'am.
But you people have to grasp it and remember it. And again, whatever I'm saying, writing means you just to go through it for 5-10 minutes, it's enough. Okay. Okay. So if the concept, this is very important things. If you are doing any optimization process, any standardization process, any research work, if you do any PhD, anything you do means the concept which I am telling is very important. Because for example, I will tell you, the people used to take some sewage water, or for easy understanding, I will tell you, they will take some industrial effluent. They do analysis, this COD content, chemical oxygen demand content.
Yes.
Chemical oxygen demand will be varied from 1000 to 1 lakh, more than 1 lakh also, milligram per liter. If the concentration is more, means the result won't come properly. Okay, and we cannot analyze at lab scale also. So what in such a situation, people decide that the result is not coming. So either the problem is with the reactor or chemicals, or the instrument, whatever they are using. Somewhere it is something happened here and there. That's what their result is not coming. They decide. But in such a situation, it's something very smart to work means you have to dilute the sample. If you are taking 10 ml sample for analysis, if you are taking raw sample means, then you have to give the dilution 50%, 20%, 40%, like that. You have to dilute the sample, then use in which dilution which gives a better result you can identify. Understand? Like this also, if water is contaminated too much means we have to add more chlorine. That is true. But the chlorine certain level only will be consumed. Whatever we have seen about the combined residual chlorine and standard or free residual chlorine formation, how much it could be possible, that much only will be possible. Once you have added chlorine into the water means it cannot be removed from the water, because that will be dissolved in water. So you have to maintain such a level means, if you are wanted to do the disinfection, so you have added much chlorine means the chlorine content will be raised more.
Yes,
Then you cannot use that water for human consumption. In such a situation, how will you do the disinfection? So you have to dilute the water where the contaminated is less. With that water you have to add it. That is called dilution. Then bring down the microbial population to certain level. Then you have to do this chlorination process to maintain that standard level of chlorine in the normal or final water. Understand?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the thing. What we are going to say, combined residual chlorine. These are all the things may look like very simple, but you look at the old question paper, yearly once or twice, or what different departmental exam is there, even civil service exam, and all the state board public service commission exams, and this university related exams like lectureship and teachers recruitment board and other government, any exam you will see every year or per year 2-3 times, many times this question will be asked.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And about they may use different terms, disinfection, disinfectant, chlorination, and the purification. Many terms they used, but the process related to this is that only. Understand?
Okay, ma'am.
Now, that whatever we'll come back to the combined residual chlorine. We'll come back to that. When we are adding chlorine into the water, whatever the organic and ammonia are presented in the water is reacted with the chlorine, which makes or form chloramines and chloroderivatives. And this will be making that combined chloramine forms. What are the basic reactions are taking place with chlorine in water? We'll see. We are adding first reaction. All the 4 reactions are taking place when we are doing this process. First, all the 4 reactions are reversible reaction. Reversible reaction means the 2 sides aromatics are there, means that is from this side to that side to this side, it can be reversed. So it is called reversible reaction. When we are adding chlorine into the water, Cl2 plus H2O, which gives us like the first reaction, gives a HOCl, hypochlorous acid and hydrochloric acid. Here, I told you that the HCl is immediately dissociated into H plus Cl minus ions. That won't be taken place to form the residual chlorine. Only the hypochlorous part is 80 to 100% it is involving as a disinfectant. So that HOCl is reacted with the ammonia, which gives, from here after each and every reaction, one water molecule will be going away. You take the ammonia NH3 and HOCl, you write one H from the ammonia and another HO from the HOCl, which gives the one water molecule H2O. And the remaining is NH2Cl will be there. Did you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
So each and every reaction, then again that product NH2Cl will be reacting with the HOCl, and you have to reverse that reaction. Instead of NH2Cl, you have to write ClNH2. One H from the that and HO from the HOCl release the water. So then the remaining part will gives one hydrogen less NHCl2. And the third reaction, again this NHCl2 react with the HOCl, which gives NCl3 plus H2O. One H from the H, another HO from the Cl, which gives H2O, and the remaining NCl3. Clear? The first one it is called monochloramine, second one is called dichloramine, and the third one it is called trichloramine. Among the 3 products, all are chloramine product only. Among the 3 products, the monochloramine and the dichloramine have disinfectant properties, and their effectiveness is 25 times less than, but it lasts longer than that of the 3-chlorine. It is 25 times less also, but throughout the infection process, it is existed in the process. But when we are coming to the trichloramine, that is the last product NCl3, which does not have any disinfectant properties at all during the process. But this trichloramine is found for the pH below 4.4, and dichloramine dominates at the pH between 5 and 6.5. And monochloramine dominate between the pH of 7.5. The ratio of ammonia to chlorine specifically maintained for this process is at 1:4 ratio, that is called optimum level. Did you understand now? Do you want me to explain one more time?
The last part, ma'am.
Okay, actually, all these 3 compounds are forming with the HOCl. First one is called monochloramine, that is NH2Cl, and next one is called dichloramine, that is NHCl2, and the third one is called trichloramine, that is NCl3. Among the 3, the first 2, mono and dichloramine, have disinfectant properties. The last one, NCl3, trichloramine, it does not have any disinfectant properties at all. This mono and dichloramine both are, it is the 25 times less effective of disinfectant effective when compared to the free chlorine. Even if it has effective also, throughout the disinfection process which is existing and which is involving other process. Okay, it never become inactive. Like a free chlorine, it reacts. All these 3 compounds at a particular pH only existed. For example, at the pH of 4.4, the trichloramine is existed. At the pH of 5 and 6.5, the monocloramine is existing. Sorry, dichloramine. And monocloramine existing at the pH of 7.5. The ratio, now what we are doing, talking, when we are adding chlorine into the water, whatever the amino compounds, that is amino acid, protein, all are amino compound. Do you know that?
Yes.
Amino acid, protein which is nothing but made up of amino acid. Amino acid which is made up of amino compounds, NH. So all are contain amino compound. This
But
amino
trichloramine does not know, ma'am.
trichloramine, it is nothing but the properties will be there. The trichloramine only, na? H
Okay.
is not there, but it has the property.
Okay.
Okay. All these three compounds are forming at different pHs. When the pH at 7.5, monocloramine form, and between the pH 5 and 6.5, dichloramine form, and pH 4.4, that trichloramine is formed. There is an optimum chlorine and ammonia range for this particular process. That is, ammonia to chlorine ranges between 1:4. That is the optimum for this particular process. Clear? Now I have the question. When we are talking about this pre-residual chlorine process, after adding this chlorine, the pH is increased, I said, isn't it?
Yes,
In this particular case, when we are talking about the mono, di, and trichloramine, mono is formed first, di is formed second, tri is formed third, and from one only another one is forming. The each and every pH where it is formed, where it is stopped, it is showing. So when the process is going on, here it is showing that the pH is reducing towards the acidic pH, isn't it?
Yes.
What is the reason behind that? Here also we are adding the chlorine. There also we are adding the chlorine. What could be the reason?
Quantity or percentage, ma'am?
No, actually pH. No. Why actually same chlorine only we are adding into the water?
Yes.
If first pre-residual chlorine process, the pH is increased towards alkaline. In this particular process, the pH is increasing towards acidic from 7.5 to 4.4. What could be the reason? Okay, I'll answer. When we are adding this chlorine into the water, all the organic matter is break down and which gives the amino compound that is also supposed to be alkali. But what will happen? Whatever that HCOCl and HCl which is forming, that will be dominating if organic substances are there means which bring down the pH into the acidic level. So the chlorine process, chlorination or disinfection process is interrupted with the organic substances if presented in water. That is the case. This organic substances supposed to be removed from previous process and make them free from the organic substances. If it is there, if you do chlorination also, the pH of water is bring down into acidic level. That water may not be used to or could not be used to for human consumption. That is the concept. Clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Then about that they have given some more explanation in your book, but that is based on some graph. That graph is not there in the book. But even then I'll explain later. The reaction of chlorine with Nubia, no one is in class except you.
They are there, ma'am.
Huh?
I joined, ma'am. I joined. I'm still driving home, ma'am. I joined the class, ma'am. I'm hearing.
Okay, already we have finished the important part.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, I got late in office, ma'am. Today there was a small meeting, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, I joined, ma'am. Hearing.
Okay. Like people have joined, but no one is responding. Simply they join and left, I think so. Very good.
No, ma'am, we are listening.
They are listening. Okay. I have to assume like that, isn't it?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then what we have to do now? So that is the reason it is they are doing complete removal of organic substances. And the reaction of chlorine with water in the first stage, what it does, which destruct the chlorine by reducing the carbon. And what is happening? The residual chlorine practically nil. There is no residual chlorine at all in the first stage of chlorine and water reaction, which gives H2Cl plus HCl. And in the second stage, when it started react with organic substances, that is chloroorganic compound, and the chloramine are formed and the combined residual chlorine is started increases in the second stage. And in the third reaction, they are telling that the chlorine started decreases, and when the complete destruction takes place in the third stage, that again it is increased to a certain level. Afterwards, in the free residual is available at it is increased with the addition of chlorine. Even then, there will not be any reaction is taking place between the existing organic matter as well as to the chlorine. It will be increasing the residual level, but there will not be any impact on the process of disinfection. Now, again, I will define you that this reaction and whatever the ammonia to chlorine level, we are maintaining the optimal level, that is 1:4 ratio. Again, it depends upon that chlorine demand only. What is the chlorine demand? The difference between the amount of chlorine added to water and the amount of residual chlorine after a specified contact time is termed as chlorine demand. Chlorine demand is very, very important term. Based on that only, that entire process to decide how much chlorine is supposed to be added into the water. Apart from chlorine, many chlorine compound also people are using for this disinfection process, either in the form of gas or liquid. What are they? First one is they are using bleaching powder that we know already we have discussed. Earlier days, people have used this bleaching powder as a disinfectant. Still date in village days, if it rains for continuously 3-4 days or more than 1 week time, they will add little quantity or some quantity of bleaching powder into the water tank. It will dissolve to some extent. Then they are distributing the water into the bubbly. That is happening really. That contain a loose combination of lime and chlorine, which contain 25 to 35% of chlorine. What is the chemical name or the formula of bleaching powder? Anyone can say?
Bleaching powder, ma'am.
Yes.
CaO. Bleaching powder, ma'am. CaOCl2.
Yes. Yeah, calcium oxide chlorate only. It is correct only.
Yeah.
And high strength calcium hypochlorite, that is CaHCO3, which is relatively stable compound containing 60 to 70% of chlorine by weight, but that is not commercially people are using for this disinfection process. Somewhere people are using this bleaching powder. Very rarely people are using calcium hypochlorite. Then chlorination practices, how the people are doing, we'll discuss now. There are different chlorination process practices are there in practical. One is plain chlorination, second one is pre-chlorination, third one is post-chlorination, then super-chlorination, de-chlorination, re-chlorination. By the name itself, we can understand everything very easily. What is the meaning of the process? What is plain chlorination, which does not mean that without doing any treatment process, they are doing only the chlorination technology or technique that is called plain chlorination. Did you understand?
Yes,
Plain chlorination means chlorine is directly applied into the water. There is no other treatment of any technique involved in that. But the turbidity and the color of the water is supposed to be very less, in the range of 5 to 10 NTU turbidity. And the raw water is supposed to be relatively unpolluted or very less polluted. Organic matter, iron and manganese content should not be exceeded 0.3 milligram per liter. When the water is that much pure or that much quality or characteristics, water can be treated directly with the chlorination. That is called the plain chlorination. Okay. Then pre-chlorination. About the pre-chlorination, already I have told, which is nothing but apply the chlorine prior to any other treatment process. Here the chlorine may be added in any section 5 of the raw water pump, or to the water it enter into the mixing chamber or any coagulation process, whatever it may be, wherever you want, wherever you feel that the contamination is more which affects the process, then you can do the pre-chlorination process, even suction pump also, or at the raw water inlet also, anywhere you can. But if you do this pre-chlorination process, which improve the further efficiency in coagulation, and also which reduces the taste, odor, and all the other microorganism content in the water and in other unit of treatment technique. Sometimes in the presence of hydrocarbons or humic acid compound formed with those compound hydrocarbon, humic acid, that we know that when we are studying this air pollution, those are highly carcinogenic chemicals. And those chemicals also can be easily removed by doing this pre-chlorination process. That will be killed, that can be easily removed from the filtration process stage. Is it clear? That is pre-chlorination. Do you want me to explain one more time, or did you understand?
Understood, ma'am.
Okay. The next one is post-chlorination. By the name itself, we can understand when it could be done, which is addition of chlorine we are adding into the water after all the treatment, including the chlorination process, which is for maintaining that stable or the minimum quantity of 0.2 to 0.303 milligram per liter of water chlorine. For that process, they are doing this post-chlorination process.
And post-chlorination is also can be called as disinfection, no, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Post-chlorination means what? Some of the time the chlorine content level could not be maintained. It will be less or more. Then they have to do something at the end of the process to maintain that level. That is called post-chlorination.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Superchlorination. Superchlorination, by the name itself, here also you can understand that whenever that disinfectant action or destruction of taste and odor may be produce a high residue, or the water is contaminated too much, that time we are doing this superchlorination process. Actually, in practice, generally it happen when the emergency case happen, or like any breakdown of some unit, something else happening, or the water is heavily polluted. That time only this superchlorination process people are following. At the time, they are adding around 10 to 15 milligram per liter of chlorine content, contact period of 10 to 30 minutes. Then the whatever the undesired things are there will be destroyed and reduced. And this excess chlorine in the water to be removed by dechlorination process. Because I told you that the 10 to 15 milligram per liter, 10 to 30 minutes contact time, it is huge amount of chlorine people are adding. But this is happening when the emergency things are happening, or sometimes some unit will be breakdown, like coagulant or coagulation process or clarification, or any of the filter unit is breakdown. That time only it necessary, or we can say such an emergency case, this superchlorination needs to be done, because to simplify the process in terms of contaminant. Even then they are doing like that also, the chlorine content of the water is shoot up. To reduce it, people are doing dechlorination process. Dechlorination means what? DE. Here, which is nothing but the excess chlorine which is resulted from the superchlorination process, which is being removed by the dechlorination process by adding some of the reducing chemicals, chemical agents like sulfur dioxide, sodium thiosulfate, sodium bisulfate, and sodium sulfide. All these, and sometimes the people are using activated carbon also. Sometimes people are following this aeration technique also to reduce the chlorine content in the water, because aeration is a process which remove the dissolved gases from the water. Do you remember?
Yes, ma'am.
So here, when we are adding chlorine into the water, it is dissolved. So that dissolved gases can be easily removed by this process. So which will be bring down the chlorine content in the water. Or sometimes some reducing chemicals, whatever I said, sodium sulfate, sodium thiosulfate, and so sulfur dioxide, sodium bisulfate, all these chemicals also will be helpful, including high activated carbon. And the next one is rechlorination process. Re means again we have to do, which is something like a post-chlorination process. But when the distribution system is very big, like a Hyderabad city, it may be difficult to maintain the residual chlorine level of 0.0 to 0.03 milligram per liter in the water. And at such a level or in that condition, we have to, already I told you that in the very high doses is applied at the post-chlorination stage. We have to maintain such a level. It is very important. So that is rechlorination people are doing again to maintain that level, because maintenance of that level is very, very important, especially for human drinking purpose water. But the process is highly costly and makes the water unpalatable, at least in the earlier reach of the distribution system. So what the people are doing
again through chlorination, ma'am. So they send this already chlorinated water again through chlorination.
Yeah, the limited amount of chlorine they will add to maintain that optimum level.
Okay.
Post-chlorination and this rechlorination are similar only. In post-chlorination, if it is done, it is done. Okay. Still, it is not maintained the chlorine content. Again, they have to do.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So anyhow, the rechlorination process should be carried out in the distribution system at a service reservoir or post pumping station or any other convenient point before it distributes. Not after distributing, before it distributes.
Yes.
Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any questions here?
No, ma'am.
Any doubts?
That's easy. No, ma'am. Not in this.
Okay. Okay. Application, how we can apply this chlorine to the treatment process. That is, the most common practice in the public water supply is they are directly adding this chlorine either in the form of gaseous form or in the form of solution. How they can make, because we know that this chlorine is a gas. So this gas can be compressed. I told you that when we are compressing, which gives ample color liquid. And also it is little dissolved in water. And in a small auxiliary flow of water, they are making that. So the chlorine is being obtained from the cylinder, and we can get it as a chlorine cylinder, and which is available at the under pressure. So the normal chlorine doses required to the disinfection of water should be subjected in a significant pollution would not be exceeded 0.2 to 0.3 milligram per liter. Anyhow, the actual chlorine dosage to the water is required based on the demand test only. So this is for the quantity fixed. Again, I'm telling the chlorine demand is very, very important. The minimum quantity what people have to maintain in water is also very important. And chlorinator, what is meant by chlorinator? How they are maintaining the chlorinator container? Chlorinator, which is nothing but a device which contains the chlorine, which is used for the feeding of chlorine water to the treatment process. How it function, we will see. It functions to regulate the flow of the gas from the chlorinator, and the usual fittings and parts of the chlorinator are 4 or 5, 6 parts are there. One is the chlorine cylinder, the chlorine container or chlorinator, chlorine cylinder, all are same. Chlorine cylinder with 45 to 1000 kg capacity, this is the range of capacity, or tank cost with a 15,000 to 30,000 or 50,000 kg capacity is also available. And the fusible plug supposed to be there, which is for a safety device, which will be provided in the cylinder, which is designed to melt or soften between the temperature 70 degrees centigrade to 75 degrees centigrade to avoid the pressure buildup. If the temperature is increasing, means pressure also will increase. Once the temperature will increase 70 to 75 means the fusible plug will give an indication that temperature is increased. So the pressure will also increase. So to take care of it, like that indication will get it. And the reducing valve, which bring down the gas pressure into 700 to 300 normal meter cube. And fourth one is pressure gauge, which indicating the what is the pressure of the cylinder. And fifth one is orifice meter or rotameter. Rotameter is a device which used to find out what is the flow of gas. We can say flow rate is how much to maintain that rotameter. And the sixth one is a desiccator valve or non-return valve, which contain a concentrated sulfuric acid or sometimes calcium chloride, through which the chlorine must be passes through, which makes the chlorine must be free from the moisture. if it contains moisture means the chlorine is highly corrosive gas. So when it passes through the pipelines, valves, pressure regulator, and other devices, whatever we have studied, if it passes through that, if it contains moisture, everything will be easily corroded. So to avoid that corrosive problem, the people are providing just next to the cylinder, either in the form of moisture absorbed in the form of sulfuric acid or calcium chloride. When the chlorine is passes through these chemicals, the moisture will be trapped. The moisture-free chlorine then will go into the process. And the next one is piping system. Here, the chlorine gas is very corrosive, so people have to use the piping which should be suitable like a PVC material. If a little moisture is also moisture presented, also the system will be corroded. So to avoid it, people are using PVC pipeline for piping system. And the chlorine vaporizer, this is another important thing. When the chlorine requirement exceed 900 kg per day, when the rate of gasification is less, then the required chlorine, because of low room temperature, easily the chlorine will be evaporized, such as thermostatically controlled hot water baths are provided to minimize or to reduce this chlorine vaporization process or technique. Chlorine feeders, how the people are feeding the chlorine into the water. Actually, for this, the feeder should be housed in a fire resistant building that is easily accessible. And it is supposed to be very close to the point of application and is very convenient for truck loading and unloading. It should also have the proper ventilation. If any leakage or something is happening, it should easily release this out. It should not be occupied in the environment because it is highly irritant gas. And another one is safety consideration. It is very, very important precautions should be taken during the chlorination process. Whatever the safetiness, we have to use the moisture absorber, and the piping system supposed to use PVC, and the chlorine vaporizer should be introduced inside the system, and the chlorine feeder, it is an easy loading, unloading provision, and also it's supposed to be very close to the application point. These are all the safety measures supposed to be taken in case, unfortunately, some chlorine is leaked means some chlorine absorber also to be introduced that is not there in your book. Introduced to the excess chlorine available in the working environment will be entrapped through that absorber. So the problem associated, health problem associated with the chlorine gas can be reduced. That's all. This is about the chlorination. If people have any question means please ask me right now itself. Time is going up. 6 more minutes are there for you. You can ask.
No, ma'am.
No doubt at all. Very good.
Ma'am, in these chlorinators, we have to remember all the values and everything, ma'am.
What value you have studied? Only 1 or 2 value you have is there. What number is there? Not more than that.
Okay.
That pressure and all you can give the normal range. That is very pressure case you can write. Chlorinator is supposed to be a capacity of high capacity, either cylinder or van or car type. You can write like that. No issue.
Okay.
Okay. But the optimal level they have given wrong value in your book. You have to put the correct value. If this question will come, what is disinfection? Explain about it. What are the different chlorination process? How we chlorinator, application of chlorine, anything will ask, but one question will come from this. Or what physical and chemical infection?
This comes for a long question, ma'am. We have to write everything little bit.
Now, what is the definition? What is definition?
Yes,
what are the 4 factors? You have to write the name of the factors. Yes. There are physical and chemical disinfection by heat, by light, and one-on-one sentence for that. Chemical disinfection, many methods are there, but among them, this is the best one. These people are doing in when we are adding into the water, free chlorine is formed and combined residual form chlorine is formed. What are they? That's all. That is about that term.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
You are making it sound so simple, ma'am.
Yeah. And also application, if possible, application, we have to add this. If any added information is there, people will be happy only. No? Instead of 4 marks, they will give 5 marks.
Okay, ma'am.
Sure.
Okay.
Asha, ma'am? She's not there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Tell me, ma'am.
Oh, you heard my voice. Very good, ma'am. Did you?
Actually, ma'am, it's like connection is going and coming. That's all. I'm in the meeting, but it's interruptions for me. That's all.
Okay, but do you have any doubt?
Ma'am, actually, frankly speaking, I was here, but I couldn't hear complete class, like here and there, here and there. I will read and I'll ask doubt, ma'am.
Now I have enough time to you to ask the question.
Okay, ma'am. I'll just check. I'll just check and ask you, ma'am.
Now you will study it. Okay, fine. Okay, you can ask me any doubt and anytime you can ask.
Yes, ma'am. I'll message you actually.
Okay. Okay, then anything else? So, okay, next class we'll see about the sewage. Now about the water is over. Now if people are getting good quality of water, it's enough now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Can
Good
chlorine
evening.
water damage to humans, madam?
Chlorine, if the chlorine content is beyond the optimum level, definitely it damages.
What are damages to humans?
If the chlorine content more than the optimum level, which will affect our, especially our lungs, intestine, kidney, and also which gives something like a more hot water. What are the parts it affects us? Everything will get.
Okay.
Okay, this is something like a salt plum.
Okay.
Ma'am, in swimming pools also people put chlorine for disinfection, no ma'am, for cleaning it. So in swimming pools, ma'am.
Swimming pools instead of chlorine, people are using bromine.
Okay,
Bromine
but used to use chlorine, no ma'am. So mostly I've seen many people or children drink that water.
They should not drink. Anyhow, that is bathing water.
By mistake, they gulp it, no ma'am. So
that what we can do. By mistake, people as kids are drinking petrol. Also, I have seen. What we can do?
Petrol.
I have seen. Okay. I know also. What we can see.
Yes, ma'am. There are some skin irritations and burns will be there.
It name itself, it's a irritant gas. Okay. Chlorine is name itself, it is called irritant gas. So it gives irritation.
Okay.
Understood?
Ma'am, I'm highly allergic to chlorine, but my skin is allergic to it. But if I drink water which is chlorinated, nothing happens. So is that
chlorine that is an optimum level? That is the optimum level will be okay for small kids to 100 years old people person also. It is optimum level. Even if it is okay for 6 months baby too, more than 100 or 100 plus person also it suits.
Okay.
They didn't say allergic, non-allergic. This age, it is common to all, universal.
Okay.
Then what else? One more minute is there.
Why are you counting minutes, ma'am?
Huh?
Why are you counting?
Exactly, ma'am. It is asked under long answer, ma'am. This one, disinfection, ma'am. Chlorination ka.
What? I am not getting your question.
Ma'am, is it asked as a long answer, ma'am? Long question and answer.
Yes, it depends on, but one question will come. Either it may be long or short, depends on the person who is going to set up the question. But it will come. It is one of the important. If it is not coming for this semester also, lifelong it is important at any point of life.
Yes, ma'am, that is true.
If you are not writing any exam, it will be useful for your kids to teach. And even if you are doing any sort of water assessment, everything, even that pipeline and all, I didn't teach well because we do not have time. From that, you can learn many things.
I know different types of valves, different types of sizes, their shapes.
Yes. I used to take very long time to explain about it. But at this time, I could not because our time constraint. From that, you people learn many things, many common sense things will involve.
No, ma'am, whatever extra points you are telling, no, I will always share with my students. Additional knowledge. And
Okay,
they think that I know so much. And
yes,
I tell them, see, I am also studying. I'm learning from my lecturers, my teachers.
Okay, yes, people are learning is good only. Na? That is the good things of teaching. Okay, anything else? Any more questions? Any doubts? Next, so this pure water is over. From the next class onwards, smelled water. See about sewage and water.
Ma'am, just small thing, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, can you explain priming, madam? Priming. One word I have read, ma'am. Priming.
Means what? Even I don't know. What does it mean, priming? You tell me, then further I can.
Ma'am, it was in the rapid sand filters only. Some siphon will be there, that priming of the siphon, madam.
Oh my God, movement of siphon, that is. Okay, actually that is not, that is automatic siphon.
Okay.
Priming in the sense, when you are filling up the tank, when you are taking out the tank, for filling up and for removing the water, we are not doing anything. That is automatically it is done, isn't it?
Okay.
Priming means the valve, whatever it is there, which is just to come down, so the water is going up. That is called priming process.
Okay. Okay.
The valve is going up, which turn off the valve automatically from the inlet of water. That is called removing process. So this process automatically is happening. That's why that is called automated siphon. Priming in the sense feeding the water into the tank by moving the ball from the bottom to top. Removing the water is the exhaust process when the ball is moving from top to bottom. These are both are automated process that is happening in the site.
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Any other doubt if people have, you can ask me. Now I am going to end.
Ma'am, it's already 8:03.
Okay, fine. Then I close.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks to everyone of you.